Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if the microphone works or what, but I can speak loud. Yes, I'm from South Bend, Indiana. I moved away 20, no, 30 some years ago. 30 plus, almost 40 years ago. I've had the opportunity of living across the United States in various places. So Rhode Island, we came to Rhode Island 23 years ago. I stayed. So everybody else has gone. I have two sons and they play professional basketball. And so one just retired. So now he's with the Spurs and the other one works in Milan, Italy, which is not too shabby. So, but anyway, I do watercolors and oils. I love them both. So if you ask me the question, which one do you love the both? They're equal. They're like my kids. You know, I love them both. They each bring something special to the table. So I love them both. I'm doing an oil for you tonight. It is a scene in Rhode Island that I've painted many times. I go there a lot to plein air and meaning on-site painting, or it's fabulous. And it's not too far from my house, but you can walk out to a pier and see many different areas, and you can stay there and paint forever and probably not paint the same painting twice. So it's a beautiful area. What I'm going to do for you tonight is I put up some examples over there. When I plein air paint, it's mostly 8x10s because I know I got a couple hours and I can get in what I need to get in at the time. Some of them are finished on site, and the others I come back to my studio and put another hour or so into them. So I brought 4 over there, actually 5, but I left this one up here because I may use it as a reference. And I have my goodie bags up here of paint. You may take a picture and see what I use. I'm very giving. I'm not secretive, so you can. I'm going to show you as much as I can. My brushes. Don't worry about the names on the brushes. I mutilate every brush I get to make it do what I want it to do. So I have a brand of brushes, and they're actually called the ugly brushes. And they're my, you know, I do whatever I do to a brush. None of my brushes are expensive. Like some of these you can get for $1.50. I'm going to be doing a lot of painting for them with them. Q-tips. I have Q-tips I'm going to use, Kleenex, you name it. I'm going to walk you through how I start every painting. And how long do you guys give me? I got 45 minutes.
Yeah, we'll take a break around 7:45.
Okay.
Go later.
So, but anyway, I'm going to show you how I start every one of my paintings. So when Naomi asked me to come up here to do this, she wanted me to emphasize on techniques or something different or whatever, not necessarily a finished painting, but you'll know how I finish a painting by looking at the little ones over there. So I'm going to show you how I start my paintings. It's a little unorthodox. It's really not, it's different. It's strange, but that represents who I am too. I experiment a lot. And the number one thing I tell my students when I teach is, they talk about their duds or their paintings that, don't turn out. Those are the best gift an artist can get. Now, mind you, we all paint duds, or we all have paintings that don't turn out. If all our paintings turned out, none of us would grow. So you learn from all those mistakes. And so when I feel like I'm in a rut, I have bins of ugly paintings and I pull them out. I'll either sand them or repaint on them or put another medium on top of them, but I learn from every one of those paintings. So don't get rid of your duds. That's the one thing I hope you remember here, and the fact that I'm very unorthodox the way I start painting, but don't get rid of your duds because that's what's going to make you grow as an artist. So this is the scene. I'm going to keep it a pretty muggy summer day, just like we're feeling now. So it's this is my palette I take in the field with me when I paint, and this is an open box M. Not sure they're making them anymore. There's a lot of these on the market, but this one works for me because it's thin. I can put everything in my backpack, and I'm an avid hiker. So I go out to the Tetons. We do the major hikes with all this gear in us. A bottle of wine, lunch and dinner, and we spend all day wherever we hike and paint, and it's absolutely fabulous. So I would recommend doing some hikes, but be careful of your surroundings and the wild animals up there, because we have had a lot of encounters. So plein air painting, I think, is essential. And if you can't paint outdoors, then the one thing you want to do is take a drawing pad, colored pencils, pastels, or chalk or whatever, and sit in your car and draw, because that will tell you what you want to do here. It's essential to get all that stuff down before you go back to your studio to paint. So the key to a successful painting is what you do before that. And I draw a lot. I have my little black and white sketches. I always go by that, my plein air studies, and then I go large in the studio. So let's get started. This is a 1216, and it's a fine Belgian linen on gator board. And I have a friend out west that makes my canvases for me, and I cut them up and to whatever size I want. These are really easy to pack and to go with. In fact, you guys can come up here. I have one in the car if you want to see what they are, but it's in fact, those little paintings, they're on those boards. So very convenient, very easy to travel with. So any questions so far? Because you can come up here later at halftime or whatever, or break, and you can take pictures of my paints. I will discuss the colors I use as we go along. And
It's a question.
oh, yes.
When you're painting plein air with oil, how do you get it down out of the mountain without getting all of your backpack?
We have little box carriers, and it just goes, it hooks on. Some of my backpacks have these S hooks or these hooks, and we just hook everything on. So by the time you're coming out of the mountains, you got everything just jiggling around. So no, they've got these nice little carriers. I think they're Raymar. They're called Raymar, and they work great for putting your paintings in to bring down.
What adheres the linen to the gator board?
There's many different products. There's some that I think is called Miracle Muck or something like that. There's glues. The artist friend that I have doing mine, it's a glue, and then what he does is heat press. It's a hot press, and it adheres it to it. And so these, this is
Korea board?
it's on gator board. I'll go out to the car at the halftime, then you can, I'll pass around one of them, and then you can see what it is. But they're great. I used to stretch my own canvases, but you know what? I fell in love with these. So they work good.
You say you cut them sometimes yourself. What do you use to cut them?
Just a regular box, a ruler and a box cutter. Knife cutter, what are they called?
Go through the gator board too?
You just score it,
Yeah.
and then it snaps.
Oh,
So score it on the side with the linen, you score it and then snap it, and you can, they're wonderful. Great invention. Okay, let's get started. Unless there's more questions. All right, I can tell you one thing, and I tell my students this too. The only thing I don't like it completely quiet. So please talk, please ask questions why I work, because if it's really quiet, I actually get sweaty and think I'm doing something wrong. So please don't hesitate to talk. I'm not one of those that needs it super quiet. So this is Gamsol. I'm one that developed an allergy to some products on the market. Gamsol is, to me, the best. It's not turpentine, but it's a solvent to use. and I have used it for years. The mediums like liquid, and Winsor Newton makes liquid. I developed such an allergy to it, I thought I was having a heart attack. So, some of those things, and I tell my students when you come, I supply the game salt because I don't want anything else in the studio. There are people with asthma, and some of those solvents will induce an asthma attack. So you got to be really careful of that. This is game salt, and it works good. So what I'm going to do, this is dry canvas, and I'm just putting a coat of game salt on it. And the reason I do this is so my paint will glide on easier. I do the same thing outdoors. I'm going to treat you guys as though I'm standing outdoors and my scene is right here. And then I just wipe it in. Now, I'm going to go to, I love this color. It's called transparent red oxide. It's the closest thing I find to the earth color. So I'm just going to, this is one of those dollar brushes. So for me, the white of the canvas is scary. So, and it's scary in watercolors, no matter what. So I get rid of it real quick. Then I feel better. Now this is Viridian. I love these two together. I guarantee you it's going to turn out to be a painting.
You mix your paints with anything or like linseed oil?
No. The only time I use a solvent, it's called Galpit Light, is if I want to take a painting and put a glaze on top of it. And it's only when the painting is dry. Then I will put a coat of very thin Galpit Light on it, and then I can go back in and glaze a few areas.
Are these water-based oils or?
No,
oil
these
oil?
are
Regular
oil.
oil. Okay.
Now I'm going to go to cobalt. Now, the reason I'm putting these colors in this way is what I'm finally going to be able to say in a painting. I'm looking at these colors and I'm seeing those in the actual painting that I'm working on. And you'll be able to see that when you come up here. This is alizarin. And I'm putting this on fairly thick. I do the same thing with watercolors. I actually throw the paint on with watercolors. And very unorthodox in that approach too. Now I'm going to take Kleenex. I'm not going to use a paper towel. And the reason why I use Kleenex is I don't want to remove all the paint, where a paper towel might take off more than I want to take off. So I'm going to use a Kleenex. the amount of Kleenex, Q-tips, and paper towels I go through on a very large painting is scary.
You make sure you don't have lotion on the Kleenex? Or does it matter?
I don't think it matters, but I don't buy the ones with the lotion, and so,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think it matters. Something to try.
How about those Red Sox?
How about the what?
Oh, the Red Sox.
The Red Sox? Why are they playing tonight?
They don't want to see you sweat, right?
Yeah.
We were so stunned at how that's like that.
So can you see where I'm going so far? So, I went out painting with a friend of mine that came in earlier this summer, and we went to Wilson Cove, my favorite place. And we got there, we're all set up, and she goes, "Where are the brushes?" Because she came with nothing, and I supplied everything, and I went, I wasn't gonna pack up, so all I had with me was the Q-tips and Kleenex. And we painted a painting with Q-tips and Kleenex, sticks and leaves on the ground. We got really, you know, it was fun, and it turned out.
Certain techniques that you're using, right?
Yes,
And you do that with watercolor too? You put it on
Yep.
thick and lift?
and then I
Because
left.
I've done that. You know, you hear so much with watercolor, oh, just leave it transparent, but there's something to be said for lifting it.
On one of the little cards, the tall painting is a watercolor.
Oh,
So, and I can show you, if you get on my website, you can see some of the watercolors. Okay, so now comes the Q-tips.
Almost like turning oil into pastel.
Like a pastel?
Yeah, pastel uses tissues as well.
Yes. I started my career with pastels. I did portraits in pastels. So I have this other sculpting too. People use it for clay or whatever. I love it. They're rubber tips. They're slant. There's different chisels to them. So, drawing. I'm a drawer. That's my strength. What it was in drawing. I'll give you a little tip. If you start back here, and I learned this a lot being out west in the mountains. You look at the mountains, and, oh, let me start drawing the mountains. Next thing you know, you have no, you're not in perspective with your scene. Start with an object up close. And then the next thing you know, everything else will come into perspective the right way. So just make, like it could be a rock up front or a weed or a bush. If you start with that perspective up close, then everything else will come into view for you. I love going to this cove when it's low tide, because then you can walk out and you gotta wear rubber boots, but it's phenomenal.
What did you say it was?
When it's low tide,
Where?
oh, it's Wilson Park. It's in Whitford, North Kingstown, Rhode Island. Oh.
You haven't applied any white or white
Nope.
color paint at all.
Nope.
All right, so I'm gonna talk a little, because no one is, and I don't know what. So what I can see from here, the one thing what you're doing is, if there is no green, and your photograph has green on the far left there a lot.
I'm gonna make green.
All right. Green.
I'm gonna make green.
Okay.
This is just the way I start every painting, because if this step comes out and the composition comes out, I'm creating a composition right now. If this comes out, then I know when I apply other colors, my painting's gonna turn out.
Okay.
So no green has been used unless you count Viridian as green.
You said you like the red outside.
Oh, I love that.
Similar to the burnt sienna?
No, all right, now I'm gonna tell you, burnt sienna and I have fights. And they're not pretty. So I found that this works best for me. And burnt sienna, I don't know if it has white in it. I'm gonna change this composition up just a little bit. I don't know what's in it, even the brown umbers, I don't use any of that, but I can make that color. So, and then I'll show you how I do that also. I'm not gonna leave anything out. So if I'm in the field painting, I'm doing the same thing. Now I'm just dipping the tissue in the Gamsol.
Is that because it was dry?
It will lift off more paint.
And the gamma won't make it crack.
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
And that's what,
I've never heard of that.
that's what type of turpentine, right?
Yes.
But it's. Oh.
That's almost back to the white.
I can get back to the white.
Yeah.
Doing this in stages enabled you to deal with the drying at the same time as you were dealing with the removing.
Right, and it's not gonna be, dry. It's not gonna be that.
It's like alla prima.
I mean, oil takes a long time to dry, but you have it on quite thin, right? So,
Yes, this approach is like I would approach a watercolor.
right. So you don't go for impasto or anything like that. I don't like impasto myself. A lot of people love it. I just, I know. Some of the people- I feel like if you want to paint that thick, go be a sculptor. If you want it three-dimensional, what are you doing trying to make a
A Q-tip. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's different. But for me, it works for my brain. It's not for everybody, but my brain, for some reason, it's always worked backwards.
I mean, you miss that, you can see the light coming through. Beautiful. Are you dipping it
Into the Gamsol, yes, because then I know I can take off more color. There are parts of this painting where I won't dip it into Gamsol, but I'll draw with it. When I've done some of these conventions and when I'm on stage, they said, "Oh, you're the Q-tip lady." And I go, okay.
You gotta get them as a sponsor.
Yeah, I have no endorsements. And I don't do brush endorsements because I like to kill a brush. And I'd have a feeling some of the brush companies wouldn't be too happy with me. So, I do have, paints, even my paints are, I like to experiment. So I'm very, I have a lot of friends that have endorsements. I don't like to be boxed in. It's probably another, I don't know, my mother probably dropped me when I was a baby or something like that, but.
You ever use sticks?
Sticks?
Yeah, the little sticks, you know.
No, I haven't tried those yet.
No.
It's fun to work big, you know, these little paintings keep you, intimidated somewhat. So when it's fun to work, do these bigger.
What's the biggest paint that you do?
40 by 50.
Oh, okay.
And, but I hate doing those and having to ship them.
Mm.
Those are hard, especially when you gotta put a frame on them.
Same kind of canvas?
Yes. Are you beginning to see a painting up
Yeah.
here? Now, I did not dip this Q-tip in the Gamsol because I only want to draw with it.
You do all the lifting when you do watercolors, so
I lift with watercolors. I have a
to the
special,
same extent,
pardon me?
to the same amount.
Yeah, I could actually get back. I work on a 300-pound arches.
Yeah.
I can actually almost get back to the original
Is that cold press?
cold press, yes.
Do you use the Q-tip too?
I don't use a Q-tip. I use this cotton linen type rag. It was actually my grandmother's. She had a bunch, you know, back in the, long time ago. They used to embroider Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the days of the week on there. And so I have hers and they're great for lifting and watercolor. So she'd be very proud of me that I was using those.
You're an artist?
No. I come from a very artistic family. It's either music or drawing or.
Do you do winter scenes as well?
Pardon me?
Do you do winter scenes as well?
What
Winter-
scene?
Winter, like snow?
Yeah.
That must be hard.
It is, and there's been times I wanted to paint, I go out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming a lot. And, I gave myself a birthday gift one March and I went out there, but I took my pastels and I ended up sitting in my car doing pastels, way too cold. But it was fantastic to see.
It's a lot. Are you still living or are you?
I'm all over the place.
Oh, wow.
Before I came up here, my goal each day, I work every day. So my goal today was, I started a large painting. And it was a scene from up in the Adirondacks. So I had to get something done today. So that was it. So it's only at this stage in my studio. I'll go back tonight and probably work on it a little bit more.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Do I have? Yeah. Oh, me, myself?
Yeah,
Oh, no, nothing. No, I'm on YouTube.
yeah,
But it was-
YouTube channel.
yeah.
You download you. So we
Yes.
can watch you.
Yes. Yes, I have a couple of trailers on there, one's for watercolor and one's for oils. So,
Can we find it in the website?
and if you go to my website under, workshops or something, you'll see where the oil one is, there's some trailers, and the watercolor one is. And then I've done a couple of art school lives and,
So I noticed the Q-tip, particularly in the background, leaves a lot of parallel lines. Are you going to leave that, or do you?
no, some of them will
smudge
go
that?
away.
No, okay. No, I just didn't know. I mean, it could be part of the design, for all I know.
When you do plein air, with watercolors,
Uh-huh.
do you chip the easel or do you paint vertically?
I paint pretty flat. A lot of times I just paint right on the ground or put I travel with a, either foam core or one of these gator boards, and I just take the painting down, and sometimes because the beginning of my paintings, I'm like splattering. So a lot of times this doesn't work for me. So then I just use the ground or a rock or whatever.
Can you tell us what colors you use in your palette?
Up here is, so far I've only used no whites, but I used, the, transparent red oxide, viridian, alizarin, and cobalt. That's all I've used so far.
Did you wanna know what other colors she has that she hasn't used yet?
Yes. Oh, up here, well, I make my grays, so I have black on my palette. So I'll make my grays with the gray, black and white, and I'll add maybe a ultramarine or cobalt into that gray, because I already made a puddle before I came up here, and then I can also make my distant greens with those grays by adding a little bit of yellow in it. So I make my greens, so you'll see a green up here, those are made with black and yellow and a touch of white. Or ultramarine, yellow, and a touch of white, and I'll bend it to be a little bit, with a little bit of red to make it warmer. I do not like the tubes of greens and all that kind of stuff that's out there. So I found it better if I made my own.
If you could find a ranging point next 5-10 minutes, that'd be great.
Okay. So if you don't want to see those lines, get yourself a little fan brush. And then you can go and soften some of those lines.
Are you just softening or are you lifting?
I'm just softening. Because I want to get this to the point where you as an artist might say, okay, I don't want to put anything on it. I kind of like the tone that's going on.
And no hard edges.
With no what?
Hard edges?
There's some hard edges in here. You've got to have hard and soft in all your paintings.
Okay.
Just not 50-50, 50 hard, 50 soft, something's got to be more dominant. I like to make all my corners different. I don't put the center interest right in the middle of the painting.
That painting could be a finished painting.
And you have that video, and this is exactly how I started it in the video.
You always use the same base color?
No, depending on, like I painted in the Grand Canyon. I start out a little bit different. It's mostly these colors, but I have to remember the scene around me, and one will be more dominant than the others. The Grand Canyon's phenomenal, but if you use all warm colors and you forget your cools, then you have a painting that just is too warm. So that's why you gotta keep in mind.
The dark value you added at the very end, was that a gray? Dark?
That's just that transparent red oxide and viridian.
Oh,
I love those two mixed together.
Do you have a favorite podcast?
No, I do like, I don't know if you know, Eric Rhodes has he's got some podcasts on there that are, what, you could start from the very beginning. They're great to listen to.
Eric Rhodes?
Eric Rhodes,
Rhodes.
I've seen.
Hey.
RHOADES.
thank you.
I look at some of those YouTube things. Is that what you were on? You said you were on. one.
I've got some
Yeah.
YouTubes, I've
They're
got,
very good.
yes,
I think he publishes Plein Air magazine.
yes.
Yeah. Oh, he's fantastic.
He's done a lot for artists. I just painted with them in the springtime. I went up to the Adirondacks and invited a group of us up there. And we had a blast painting. You let me know if you want me to grade.
Anytime we break, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, and then I can look at this from a distance.
All right.
Mark and Carrie have, raffle tickets if you, drawing tickets if you wanna, enter the drawing for the original watercolor. And then, help yourself from the rest of one. Never long.
Was from your thing.
Oh,
Of course. I remember. You did.
yeah, I love.
It's totally. Yeah, I know. And then now I remember what you.
My face?
Yeah, because you're talking.
Yeah, that was probably
A long time ago.
3 years ago. 3 years ago.
Yeah, I got it like 2 years ago. I like those, and Eric Rhodes is the person who introduced sometimes some of the artists. That's why I know his name. And there's another artist that I also think that's the landscapes, which is, he has a very strong, very, and he does marshes. He was kind of reminded me of McDonald's, yes. Oh my God, I that like a marsh. It sort of looks a little bit like that, but I love that. That
Another native.
so you have this teacher and everything.
Sister.
I love but you know how funny I got so really I love to know. And yes, you know, I went to snap and McDonald's, I go back to it. How funny, because I love Soroy. Yeah.
Great. So I asked too many questions.
Okay, my mom is one of the. Learn, so I have. My brother. I know that is now that you're again with your stuff in and you're not going to. Do you do that? No. Do you live in the, that's what I was wondering, do you live in the stuff, or do you live in? I buy you some, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. That's, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, I asked my father about that. He told me. That's like the nothing that I wasn't good back then. Yeah. Well, you know, yeah. What do you pay? What medium? Yeah, I'm watercolor. I started with oil, but I was allergic. Well, yeah, it might have been some of the things you heard with the turtles and stuff. Yeah, yeah, it was 30 years ago. Yeah, so, yeah, a lot of those, I get, stay with Dan Saul. Yeah, I love that.
Don't try it, please.
And we lived in St. Paul. We left first graders for next month. And I had sorry. Yeah.
The painting book.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, but they made on clear. And I don't know how they did it. My mom, Jerry, my dad.
Oh, I did, but I went. Yeah. I
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the right thing that I said, dollar thing. Yeah. It is disturbing.
I'm going to get together this small years ago.
Yeah, no,
That's what I even wanted to purchase.
Because I think they were bought out, what I understood. And so I got a new batch of watercolor paper. We had like, she said, Tyson was in. No, I usually don't mind, like, I'll go to Jerry's when they have a sale, and then I buy.
There's something wrong. Yeah, my daughter. I feel. I want to get used to those.
Kingstown, Rhode Island. And it's called.
Yes, oh, yeah.
And now in front of it, these baseball fields, a basketball field, we have to take the dirt road back to the boat.
Yeah, I.
I do, I'm headed west in 3 weeks and I'll be gone for a couple of months. And then I come back, so it won't be till probably next spring. It's
1, 4, 3, 1. Oh, that's.
You got it?
No, I 1, 1, 4, 3, 1. Thank you so much.
Well, the studies of working together.
Look so old. Like you do it. It's so long. Yeah, yeah.
That's.
Please don't, it's too congested there.
Yes.
Please don't come this way, Mary. It's too congested. Thank you.
Take it, and then when you want it, get
Is that working okay for you?
I wouldn't be able to see without. That's still okay. Yeah.
Well, Cynthia and well, remember, but she might improve. Well, I don't know where she got I can't think of her name. So she's from North. You only have them from rent. Lost her husband, remarried. And then I think she's living. Yes. But anyway, but my father, yeah, is from Bristol. Bristol. Yeah. I live here in Denver. But I actually grew up in Puerto Rico because my mother, because my father, they met in the army. With a parade, hold out. Yes.
All right.
Started it.
All right, so I could putz around with this. Like I said, I started one this morning. I probably put 3 hours into it, and then I looked at my watch and I said, oh, I better go. So I can putz with this to get it to a really fine painting. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next to move it along. But if you had a chance to look at those little ones over there, each one started out the same way. And even this little one up here started out, which that's Wilson Park also, started out the same way. And so now I'm going to go back into it. I'm going to jump, like I said, I could put branches and everything in there. I love doing that. Before I put the other colors on, but I'm going to jump ahead. Take one of your brushes and sharpen an end. Works great.
For the edges.
For even to bring out a branch here. I'm drawing in a tree trunk. Do what? Oh,
Back of your head.
Nice hair.
oh, thank you. So I'm just scraping out tree trunks. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So like I said, I enjoy this step so much. And that's why, when Naomi sent me out the info, get used to just doing this step. Just play with it and use those colors that I told you to use. And you're going to find they play all so well together. And you'll come out with a really cool tonal painting. And then save it. And then start another one the same way. And then you can put the color on it. But this is great for scratching out grasses up here. I get, these things, this has a little glare on it, so it's kind of hard for me to see, but without it, I can't see the paintings.
Best.
How long have you been professionally painting? I started selling in my early 20s. I did outdoor park shows. I branched out to where I had a trailer. I'm the only person around that's ever hit their own trailer with their car while it's hooked up. Don't ask me how I did it, but I backed into my own self and it was hooked up. How do you do something like this? I forgot it was on the back and I'm but anyway, I would inside that trailer had my tent. My tent was major. I lost a lot of tents during thunderstorms and all that kind of stuff. So I had a major tent that was like a home. I had sides, and then I'd load up my paintings. And so everything, all I had to do was hook it up and drive to these shows. And I did a lot of park shows in my early 20s and 30s.
You're always on your own?
No, I was married. But
No, I meant on your own in the trailer doing.
oh, most of the time, yes.
Wow.
Yes, when I bought the trailer, I left a show outside of Chicago. And of course, Northern Indiana was loaded with trailer companies. And I pulled into one and I said, oh, I want that cute little thing. never knew how to use it. I learned really quick, and I was going back to New York. From there, all I did was drive straight. When you hold up the sun, I just drive where I could pull out. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I did it. You learn it's learning on the job. I did it. And then I had some gallery representation, and then now it's mostly gallery. So I have a gallery in Carmel, California, Manchester Center, Vermont, Tucson, Arizona, Lambertville, New Jersey. Wow, I'm missing one.
New York. Scarsdale. Rhode Island.
No. I'm missing one. But anyway, so they keep me very busy, especially the one in California. Because when they sell one, they like to know you're delivering one real quick. So, they keep me very, very busy. I make a good living doing this, but plus I've done a couple of videos. But I have to tell you, it wasn't always that way, and I work every day. But how great is it that I have a job that I love to do? Like my
Sorry, Bozeman, Montana.
Bozeman, thank you. Was it? Yeah. It's not Bozeman. She left Bozeman. She's in Livingston, I think. Yeah, Livingston. Thank you. And then I've done my own website. I am a one-woman band, but it's just me, myself, and I now. The kids are older and all that kind of stuff. But I love what I do. I work every day. I got it. I'm telling myself, stop it, go with the color now, but I couldn't help it. So anyway, that was the beginning of my career back then, and the galleries keep me very, very busy. And I've done some art competitions. I'm going out. I promise not to do any more, but they asked me to come back this year in Laguna, and it's kind of hard to say no to painting in Laguna. So I leave in a couple of weeks for that, and then I have a boyfriend that lives in Monterey, so he's meeting me. He's also an artist, so he's meeting me, and then we always travel the coast and paint, our way back to his place. So we both have that mutual same interest. Okay, so let's make some color. I'm going to clean my palette. Now, this does not have to be dry to lay color on it. If I'm painting large paintings, I normally will play with this for hours. And then I get up in the morning and I look at it with fresh eyes to make sure my composition is good. And then I go on with paint, with more paint. The small ones, I just go right in, especially, this competition that I'm going to. We've got to get so many done in 5 days. And I'm very stressed out about stuff like that, but I do it.
Is that Laguna Beach?
Laguna Beach, yeah, Laguna Invitational.
Scene?
Pardon me?
You do a beach scene?
I do. They give us a perimeter to go paint, and so we can go and paint anywhere.
Is it a plein air?
It's a plein air competition. It's fabulous. I won it from here.
Oh.
So it was
That's
That's
great.
great.
it was a nice $10,000 check.
Nice.
And Cindy had fun on the way back to Bill's place. We stopped at wineries and painted. We had fun. All right, so let me focus here. I'm going to show you. I mixed a gray, so I have a gray on here. Here's my gray. I mixed it before I came here, but I'm going to show you another color, and you're going to go, wow. So there's my gray, which is basically black, white, and a little bit of blue in it, ultramarine blue. Now I'm going to take this Viridian. And I'm going to put a little white in it. So this is Viridian and white. I'm very, and another answer to your question, I'm very comfortable on my own traveling and doing all that stuff. I've driven cross country several times. I actually enjoy it. I take in the back of my car, I can lift the back up and I can paint anytime I want because my gear is all there. But I enjoy it.
Another dog.
I did. I will get another one when I stop traveling so much. She had a wonderful 14 years. So
So the boyfriend wasn't mad that you won the competition and he didn't?
I don't know. Scared.
No, yeah, no, I mean, some men particularly wouldn't be good with that, so.
You know, if he was, I don't want to know.
Excuse me, Cindy, you said you had your gray and you added ultramarine
Into that gray.
and then something else, you said.
No, now this is Viridian. It's just, it's in that gray, this gray right here is
Yeah.
black and white.
Yeah.
And a little bit of ultramarine, I think I put in that one.
And then-
And it just richens it so much. The reason why I don't use a gray in a tube, I could buy the same brand, the same gray, and none of it will be the same. With me going back to, I'm going back to basics. For me going back there, my grays are much more richer. They're much more vibrant. I do not like the grays or the greens in the tubes. I've yet to find a great green in a tube. So I decided, go back to the basics. Black, white, and yellow. Pardon me?
Have
Paint-
you ever tried Payne's?
Payne's gray can leave you a dull feeling.
Very dull.
Yeah, I don't like it, huh?
Very dull.
I like watercolor.
Yeah. And now I just put a little bit of alizarin in this Viridian.
Maybe that's why I don't win.
Oh.
There we go, and that's all.
It's just, in my head, I had to come up with, you know, with me starting, you know, I do abstraction or subtraction on paintings. And it's the same with colors. It's just my way of thinking. I have to go back to basics. I do a lot of charcoal drawing. So, I like doing wildlife in charcoal. And all I use is a big charcoal stick and an eraser, and I erase the shapes. So I go backwards with that too. Try it sometime.
Do you use tissue with that too?
Yeah,
You added red oxide or alizarin?
no, that was alizarin. So here's another gray. There is another gray I just mixed up there, and there'll be some up here. When we're done, you can come up here and take a picture. I'm mixing some colors now. I'm gonna throw this out there. If you want, but you gotta be quick. I'm mixing a bunch of colors. You can come up here and snap a picture, but then you gotta go back and sit down so I can paint, because we got to what? I got a half hour?
Midnight.
Oh.
We've got kind of a hard stop, yeah, that takes 45.
You do late night painting, right?
I do. All right, now I'm adding my other favorite color. I go out and experiment with it. It's called Shiva Orange. And it's the Richardson Shiva series. You won't be disappointed with that Shiva Orange. I don't use cadmium colors, yellows, because they're, ugh. This Shiva is exciting and it plays well with others.
Where do you get that? I've never seen it.
That one's in Jerry's.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm gonna add a little bit of that Shiva Orange into the other pile of Viridian. Now, if you'll see, all my color changes, what I'm doing now, besides this gray, are subtle color changes. And that's what makes my paintings a little bit different. All my stuff is very subtly changed. Okay, I'm thinking of the sky, the green. I did a pre-green before I came here, sorry, which is black and yellow and a little bit of white.
So is the black a lamp black or?
It's a Mars black. And it's medium yellow that I'm using, a medium Hansa yellow, which is also in the Shiva series.
That's for the clouds.
This is gonna be for all over, but I'm gonna take part of this and I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter. With titanium white. So I basically have the same green, I just added a little bit more white. You can see here's a darker to a lighter, and then I can make that lighter still. Now look at this chartreuse green. This is probably the only green I use. Now I'm gonna make that raw sienna. That's cadmium green, and I'm gonna add a little bit of alizarin. So there's a common denominator in all these colors, and it's alizarin that I'm sticking in some of these colors. So I know all these colors are in the same family, are going to blend very nicely together.
So you said cad green and.
Cad green, and this is alizarin. So in that video, you'll see, I made a lot of those red in the clouds with the same combination.
Yeah.
What's this video? Is this on your website or on?
It's on my website.
Yeah.
There's the large postcard over there. You'll be able to see what it is. So look at, I'm making basically a raw sienna or a burnt sienna, whatever it is. But look at the common denominator. There's alizarin. There's alizarin. Actually there, I can put a little alizarin in that gray. There's alizarin in this. So they're all going together. They all, I do, the best analogy for me is go to Ralph Lauren or a clothing store, and if you buy a suit and shirts and all that, there's a common denominator until all of that stuff matching and going together. So in this particular pile, it's alizarin. You know, sometimes it might be another color, but I know that alizarin is
Creates the
harmonizing.
harmony.
Yes, thank you. Trying to find one of my ugly brushes.
They're just also beautiful.
My brushes.
Yeah, you can't find an ugly one.
So this one was a beautiful flat. So it is now, there you go. It's now that.
Oh my God.
But I've taken it and scrubbed it on concrete or brick just to get it to fray out, but it will do wonders. Okay. I'm gonna take that gray that I made with the viridian and stick it in the sky. So this is, look at what this ugly brush can do. It can cover a lot of ground real quick, and it allows me not to make perfect shapes because I can be a perfect painter. And so I had to learn how to become more painterly by ugly brushes. If that makes any sense. I told you I'm not normal, you know, so it's
Wait, it's not the name brand ugly brushes?
no, it's Cindy's ugly brushes. No, no,
It could be a line.
it could be.
This is what I don't get about oil painting, how you cover everything up. What's the point of doing all that work? Cover it all up.
I don't think that's really quite right. What I'm saying.
That's what it looks like to me.
We're having a discussion about whether you putting stuff down and covering it up, and why did you bother?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
it looks like you wasted all the work you did on the sky.
Well, that's why try a couple of these.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna leave one tonal, and then you're gonna do it again, and you're gonna put paint on it, another one. And then you can see what floats your boat.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, this is just white and Shiva orange.
You go back to the technique of the paper towel on top of that or not?
No.
Once you set the paint,
And this is just a Lutheran in one,
okay.
right, I go. And then this is ultramarine and white. This is the one that's the Viridian with the yellow, or the Shiva orange in it. Can you, I'm starting dark, I'm changing the color of the sky as I go along. So it's just not one flat same color to a sky.
You integrate them together or you do it like that?
Now I'm gonna go with a little bit of the Shiva orange and white. This will give you tremendous depth in your sky. Now I'm just going to that gray that I pre-mixed. Into dark. Now this first go around, you'll be able to see some of the brown color that's underneath it come through. I don't mind now, because the next time I go around, it will be thicker. Can you see how it's changing?
Yeah. And they're rich.
Now I'm just gonna lay in a little bit, I'm working a little fast, I'm gonna lay in a little bit of the green. And I'm using my ugly brush because I know won't be perfect. I actually got a lot of glare. I want to see what happens if I turn this. I have a little bit of alizarin into my gray. Once again, the alizarin is the one that's becoming the uniter.
Cindy, do you use limited oil or any other medium?
No, the only time I use a medium is Galpit Light, which is a Gamblin product also. And that's used to, like, if a painting's finished and I want to glaze it, I may go over some painting. And stay tuned for something on YouTube or Eric's, I can't say it yet. But anyway, I taught the glazing part on a dry painting. But you gotta, I don't know when it's gonna air. Okay, this alizarin that I made, now here's the tedious part. And it's not for everybody. But I'm now gonna go back in the sky and my brush strokes, like I've got the paint on there now. I'm actually going to lay in, I'm gonna blend everything with this alizarin color. And I'm going up and down now. Do you see what I'm doing?
But you let the uneven brush strokes show a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, but I'm gonna go back into it with others. As long as I get the paint on it. And I'll do this. I could spend an hour doing this on the sky, and then that sky is gonna just be very luminous, very, that isn't the word, maybe it's the word I want.
So you do it like in a circular motion?
It's up and down right now. I got another little ugly brush. I'm gonna show you another ugly brush thing. You guys are gonna go home, don't throw away your brushes, just beat them up and play with them. And I'm actually feathering into all the color that's on there.
So going down even to your first layer? Okay.
So it's making, everything is blending together. Picking up the colors that I mixed, and I'm going back into it with those colors also. But each time it's almost, I want to say it's like pointillism, but it's finer than pointillism. Because if you come up here in the end, you're going to see all these little colors mixed in there. But it's going to give you the illusion of what I'm trying to say in this painting. And you want to feather out the top parts of your tree by just dragging some of that sky color into it.
If you're making a painting this size for sale, how long, how many hours do you think you put in?
It's hard to tell you the hours because it's, I can putz like crazy on a painting. I could putz forever until I think, okay, now I gotta walk away. There's something, to be honest, there's something in the painting that after I make a mark, and I have days where I'll put a mark on the painting, I'm like, oh my God, this isn't working. I actually put the painting away and pick up a different painting. My studio's full of paintings.
So does your gallery say, okay, you have a deadline, 10 paintings by the date?
I usually give them the deadline.
Okay.
And because for me and my brain, I need goals and finish times. So I give myself the deadlines. Like the gallery out in California, I give them 6 paintings at a time. So they know when a shipment comes, there's normally 6 paintings in there.
Do they stipulate what kind of composition they want?
They want representation of the state, of their state, basically. But I love painting the mountains, so, and then I painted a grizzly bear. And they go, can we have it? And I went, okay. And I said, yeah, it probably lived in California at one time. And then, the other one was I painted a buffalo and they go, can we have it? And I went, sure. It's a Wyoming buffalo. But I'm going to show you another little trick since this is about techniques. So I hope I'm answering your questions on techniques and something different for you to think about. I'd say I want to make layers of trees back there. See those grays I have in there? I'm just going to take the gray, I'm going to lighten it up with a little bit of white, maybe cerulean. And then I'm just going to go behind. And all of a sudden, you're going to see trees pop out. Can you see that? Are you being nice and just saying, or can you actually see it?
Is that what you say, ugly brush?
Yeah, I'm wow. Because I know my edges aren't going to be perfect. Because like I said, I can be a perfect painter. I did portraits. And I can be perfect, but it wasn't painterly. So this was the way I became painterly, was creating these brushes. But some of these brushes, I go to not Michael's. We have a place called Job Lots, and I just buy. They're like $6 for 12 of them. But you know what? They last for so long that they do it. You don't have to have the best of everything. You really don't. All right, I have another brush that I use. It's a watercolor brush. And it's fanned out too, and it's very soft. So if I want to help some edges, I just tap along and it will help some of the edges blend. So there's another technique for you to think about. If you're an oil painter, go get some watercolor brushes.
Do you varnish your paintings?
Yes.
What kind of varnish do you use?
I use Gamsa or Gamvar, and it's in the Gamblin product. And I use a gloss.
So you wouldn't put a green on top of the back?
This back,
Yeah.
I will, but I'll make it with
Oh.
with a Viridian. But I'm seeing how far we can get here.
Okay.
I'll show you the highlights, but I'll put Viridian in that gray with a little bit of yellow. Makes a great distant green. Now, another thing is I'll take my palette knife. I've got 2 different ones I like, but here's a little one. So once I get paint on there, I will start laying in thicker and just tapping it in. But it has to have paint on there first. So if you get on my website and look at some of the big ocean scenes I've done, especially from Big Sur, all done tediously for hours with the teeny little to get those waves and everything in the background. It's all done with the palette knife. After I put the color on, then I start tapping other colors into it, and it makes a great glistening glow for in the background. Now, this other brush I have here is a brush that I cut off. It was a flat. I cut off and I sprayed the edges. And it's so gunked up with paint, it's actually perfect. And I can go in there after I put this on, then I'll tap. And it will make wonderful little weeds. Oh gosh, it's so fun. And I'm just tapping the color in. And it's making texture. So it helps me fray that hard edge that was right there. A great dark is cobalt and a little bit of alizarin. Once again, the uniter here has been alizarin.
You say that cobalt and a little bit of alizarin added to the gray or alone?
Oh, that dark I just put in there, that was cobalt and alizarin alone.
Just alone.
Sorry to be the time for this, we've got 3 minutes left.
Oh, sure.
Hard stop at 8:45.
All right, so I've worked a lot through here, but you guys will be able to see the colors when you come up here. And the same thing, I'm gonna make some big bold marks here, and then you'll be able to know. I just gotta put the paint on here. Now look at, if I just scrub up with this ugly brush, it frays it out so it's like weeds that go up in there. And the same with the water. I got paint on there, but I'll do this all the way through and you'll see some ripples. I'm mimicking the colors that are in the sky. No fair yawning. So I put this on, now mind you, there's not enough paint on here, but You'll just see how it will give when you come up here and take pictures, because I want you guys to come up and take pictures, but you'll just see the glistening that it will give off. Sorry, sometimes I don't have the best English.
When you're finished with it, do you wait to dry and then spray it?
But give me with varnish,
Yeah.
I paint the varnish on, I don't spray.
How long do you wait until it's dry?
Oh, that's a touchy feely thing, like, it takes a couple of weeks. Okay, you can come up here and take pics if you want.
Thank you very much.